Good morning, boys and girls.
Today we're going to look at character traits and complex characters. I can use character traits that are not the same when describing a character. A complex character is a character that may act, think, or say something one way and then show you a completely different side to them later due to a situation or scene change.
That's so cool, Miss Schultz. We've talked about a lot of these characters in the past. While we're reading, we find evidence for these traits in what the character says, thinks, and does. While reading, we often think, what traits come to mind and what kind of a person acts like this? So do you want to take a look at one of our favorite books, The Tiger Rising?
Yes.
Who should we look at from this book?
Let's take a look at Rob. We know Rob is a character that has changed throughout the story. So let's think about how he's changed and the types of character traits he shows.
So we could look at our character traits chart to help us think of some traits that he exhibits.
Wonderful. Okay, so the first trait I'm thinking of for Rob is, well, I know Rob is like a sad character, and just by looking at the list of character traits that describe sad, I'm seeing heartbroken, and I'm thinking that Rob is a heartbroken character.
Why do you think he's heartbroken? Can you think of something that he's heartbroken over?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the story, Rob talks about how his mom has recently passed away. And I know that he's heartbroken over his mom's recent death because in the text he says, and he did not think about his mother. He hadn't thought about her since the morning of the funeral, the morning he couldn't stop crying. And that came from chapter 1 on page 3.
So that shows exactly why he's heartbroken, and it actually shows what he says, thinks, and does. Great example. Let's think of another trait.
Another trait that I have for Rob is I noticed that as the story progressed, he became more of a caring character.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm going to highlight caring on our chart here. Do we have an example of when he was caring or to who he was caring?
Yeah, so an example for Rob being caring is that in chapter 20 on page 80, Sistine starts crying about her dad coming to rescue her from Florida, and Rob consoles her by telling her, you go on and cry, I got you, I got good hold of you. And this is where Rob thinks about how his mom would comfort him when he was crying, and he tried to use the same tools to help Sistine.
Yeah, that's great proof that he's a caring character. And that is very different from the first trait that we used, heartbroken. Let's think of another one that's also different from both heartbroken and caring.
So I'm thinking of a trait. I was looking at the list and I was thinking indifferent under does very little. And I thought about this trait because whenever throughout the story, Rob gets bullied by the Three Monger boys. And anytime he's bullied, he doesn't really respond much. And he comes off as like unconcerned and like doesn't care. And that's like what the definition of indifferent is. So I know this because in chapter 2 on page 6, when Rob sits on the bus and the boys are grabbing hold of his hair and giving him like a noogie, it says, Rob sat there and took it. If he fought back, it lasted longer. If he didn't fight back, sometimes they got bored and left him alone.
So it's kind of like he doesn't interact with them in a positive or negative way. He just kind of lets it be.
Very little.
Yeah, perfect. So quickly, I'm just going to enter our title here, book Tiger Rising, and that we read this book on Mayan. So when the class is filling out their sheet, they know what to put on that area.
Perfect.
So today, boys and girls, when you go off to complete your independent assignment, these are 3 steps that you could follow. Find a spot where your character is talking or doing something. Then find another spot in the book where your character might show you a different side to themselves by their actions or what they say. Then think to yourself, what is this telling you about your character? And you're going to complete a character traits chart just like this one.
Yep, so you can choose 3 different character traits from the chart that we have, and make sure you think about situations in the story where your character is showing these traits and give reasons as to why they are this way, just like we did.
Okay. See you
See you
next
next
time.
time.